How can I make money without social media? Damon, how can I make money without social media? I need social media to make money. Social media is how I make money. That's how I connect with my customer. I need it. I need it. Tap it into my veins. I can't see a world without it. Let's break down a few different ways you can connect with people. Let me make sure I get my tech right. You know how it is with tech sometimes. Man, wait. I appreciate this comment. I've deactivated, but then after a while, I reactivate. I get FOMO. However, I'm on social media less and less anyway. Yeah. Thank you, Elky57. I appreciate that. And I think that's the tough part with social media is that we're accustomed to it. And it's I think it's kind of that's why I was mentioning the pandemic and other things because I feel like it kind of got doubled down, a few years ago when we were all sheltering in place, at least most of us in the world was sheltering in place and all that. And it's just like, oh, I really need to connect with people. And so it's a matter of finding unique ways, um, perhaps old school ways to connect with people. And I think that's part of it. One of the things that you can do is, and that goes right into the question I'm about to get into right now. It's not only about how can I make money without social media. It's also about how can I connect with people without social media. So thank you for your comment. And the fact that you're on it less and less, I think signals that maybe you are slowly getting out of social media, even though you keep coming back, but might be kind of that slow leak, as they used to say. Excuse me, versus you doing a dramatic exit as I tend to do. So thanks for the comment, LQ57. I appreciate that. And that's real talk. Like I appreciate that for sure. And so some of the ways that you can actually connect with people, and I've talked about this in previous episodes, is number one is of course meeting people in person. And that could be conferences, that could be coffee houses, what have you. Whatever precautions or wherever you happen to be, whatever limitations you have, work within those because some of us can't do that. But if possible, connect with people in person, even if it's a mixer event, even if it's a concert, even if it's going to a TED Talk. Find ways to connect with other people. And again, we've had such an intense week this week. Uh, if you're watching the replay, you can see the news for the week of of October 11th. But it's also that reminder of us knowing each other and meeting in a certain way. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. So meeting in person and finding other ways to kind of build that connection. Another way to do this is to actually find a home that's outside of social media, which a meta, again, no Mark Zuckerberg, but a meta way to talk about it is with bringyourwork.tv. And this show came about in, yes, 3 years. So it came out December of 2020, and all of us are sheltering in place. I wanted to find a way to connect with y'all because I'm used to going to the TED conferences. I'm used to going to the American Society of Journalists and Authors conferences. I'm used to going to the other conferences. I'm used to speaking. I'm used to having coaching sessions in person because I'm a business coach. Again, my info is below if you want to coach with me. Suddenly, all that stuff it was like a tap, just like LQ57 was talking about. Like suddenly that all got cut off. Except we're all experiencing that as opposed to one person. And so this show with the 18,000 plus of y'all that have subscribed, it's a chance, again, like LQ57, to come through and for us to have a conversation about certain topics that are relevant to side hustlers, to solopreneurs, and then just people in general. So this is my way of facilitating that. Another way you can facilitate that, which I'd highly recommend if you're in business, is to do a newsletter. It doesn't have to be a Substack. There's major issues with Substack. You can just Google Substack. You'll see the issues that are coming up, which I think will become more prevalent, especially again with the recent happenings. I think it's going to get way more intense before it gets more calm as far as with the Substack crowd. But there are all these other alternatives to you building a newsletter. My favorite, and a lot of this stuff I actually use every day. So I'm not just talking to talk here with referrals and stuff. It's like, no, these are my joints. I'm opening up the magic bag here. It's ConvertKit. ConvertKit allows you to, I think if you have less than 500 subscribers, you can do it for free or extremely low cost. I have more than that to my newsletter, so I actually pay the premium plan, but it's not even that expensive based on that. Particularly if you use a referral, because I think you get a month or two free. ConvertKit works out really well because it's essentially a newsletter platform and allows you to connect and email the people that you want to have in your community as you're building the community, or if you want to sustain the community. In my case, I have multiple communities. So I have y'all here at bringyourwork.tv. And then, of course, I have folks at my newsletter at joindamon.me, which there's a Venn diagram of overlap, but it's not always the same. That's why I try to shout out both of the communities as I'm on either one. I like ConvertKit a lot because number one, the founder, Nathan, he has a great ethos as far as being a creator himself. And I'm a couple degrees away from him. And I love his ethos and his perspective on things. So I'm not worried about the site suddenly going in different directions in ways that is not creator focused. I am a creator. I support y'all as creators. So I want the brands that I work with to be creator focused so they can serve me and I can serve y'all much better. The second part with ConvertKit is that it's really good as far as putting the people you talk with in your newsletter into different tags, or as they call them, buckets. Or actually, I call them buckets. They call them tags. I always get confused because I kind of tend to interchange them. I think they call them tags. And so if there's someone that, in my case, that I met at a keynote that I'm doing, that might be different than someone that I met at the TED conference where I'm an attendee, and that might be different than someone that I happen to meet when I'm grabbing a drink with a friend of mine. Those are three different categories, and so the ConvertKit can allow you to put those folks into different categories. And so if you have particular product offerings, if you have particular messages, forget the money part for a second. If you have particular messages that you want to get out, the folks that I talk to that, are my people from the TED conference, it might be a different conversation because TED folks, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of scientists, a little bit more on the techie side. That's going to be different than the conversation I have with the folks from the American Society of Journalists and Authors, who are more authors, who are independent freelancers, because all freelancers are independent. You know where I'm going. Maybe content marketers, that kind of thing. Those might be two separate messages. ConvertKit allows you to split it into different messages and go from there. So I'd highly recommend it. Creating a newsletter or some type of messaging with the people that you serve if you're running a business, or with the people that you care about. Tiny letter, I forget the name of the website, but I forgot the actual URL, but another good one is called Tiny Letter. And there's good friends of mine where they'll send a tiny letter, which is just simply an email with just a picture on the top. They'll send like a postcard about once a quarter. Sometimes they send it during the holidays, right during the holiday season. So sometimes they send it during the holidays, like, hey, this is what's happening, what's going on with y'all, blah, blah, blah. Another one is Marco Polo, where you can send little videos to other people, but it's not a social network. It's just you sending videos to one person or to a small group of people. It's meant to be intimate. That's the pattern with all the stuff that I'm talking about here, is that there's a level of intimacy that you can create. My business started to improve drastically when I started to leave the social media platforms one by one, because it forced me to create intimacy with the people that I serve. In other words, you. And whether that's me having a TV show 2 to 3 times a week, one of them live, where I'm talking directly to you through my little camera, or it's the newsletter at joindamon.me that comes out every Wednesday morning, or it's another setup where I do a keynote and a couple hundred of y'all, whatever, come through, and we're able to talk and then have one-on-ones after the talk. That all creates a level of intimacy that I think social media is really good at pretending to do, but in a lot of cases, the intimacy is not there. And unfortunately, it's a law of diminishing returns, as they say in the business world, where back when I got onto the Facebooks, I got onto the Twitters, I got into the live journals and the MySpaces, I'd say a couple decades ago, the amount of intimacy that was facilitated was a lot higher. Not because there weren't as many people on there, but because there was less of a intermediary when it came to us connecting with other people. Now it's very much a business, very much corporate, and I don't mean that in a good way. So because of that shift, we need to think about how we're going to connect with other people. Back to the business. Make profit without social media. I did a live show about a year ago talking about making profit without social media. I recommend you check that out. It's a deep dive into how you can actually run a business, start a business. I mean, literally launching a business without social media, 100% possible. You can do that. You can do that. You can make that happen. Even when I launched this show, almost exactly 3 years ago now, I wasn't on most of the social media platforms. And as I've teased with the show, I've left more platforms than I've gotten on. And so there's ways to launch products, launch big ideas, have something successful. 18,000 of y'all have come through in the last 3 years that are hanging with me. That happened, most of it happened without leaning on social media. Let's talk about it. This live talks about it much deeper. And business without social media, there's actually a classic episode, not a live episode, but a traditional episode, a recorded episode, where I talk about me leaving one of the major social media platforms. And then I saw my profits go up within the next business quarter. Not a lie, not an exaggeration. I've written books about this. In fact, it's included in the Complete Bring Your Worth collection coming out next week. But this actually solidifies a lot of stuff I'm talking about. Do not miss this last episode I'm recommending, because it gives a good crux to the argument that I'm making. And in fact, it helps address some of the fears that we have as side hustlers, as solopreneurs, as business people, for us to say, I'm going to leave social media. What about my business? This answers that question. Man, thank y'all for coming through. And Elkie 57, thank you for your wonderful and honest comment. I appreciate it. This is every Wednesday and Sunday at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You subscribe for free, and you can also hit the follow. I think it's called follow. I have to look at my iPad. I forget what it's called on Amazon. They keep changing the name. You can click it on there. You'll be catching the live shows. Live shows are every Wednesday. Recorded shows are most Sundays. Get the Complete Bring Your Worth collection coming out next week. Click on the link. Like, I announced this to y'all months ago. It's here. It's here. It's in my it's in my medium-sized hands. If you want a copy as soon as possible, hit me up at damonbrown.net. You can get a signed copy from me. Just go to damonbrown.net. If you want to support an indie publisher, me, and your indie bookstores, them, who are fantastic, go to bookshop.org. They have free shipping today. So if you're watching this live today, they have free shipping. My book's on there. Click the link below. You'll go to my bookshop at bookshop.org. No pun intended. And it has all my books on there, including the new one that's coming out next week. And finally, of course, you can get on Amazon. Check it on Amazon.live, Amazon Live, and Amazon.com. I'm looking right here. It should be highlighted wherever you happen to. Depending on your browser, they're going to stick the book somewhere around here. It's around my big head. Just count on that. And next week, I am geeked. You see me beaming. I used to be a radio DJ, so I'm geeked about having this experience with y'all. Exactly a week from now, not 24 hours, 78 days, 70. I cannot talk today. I need a vacation. 7 days from now, you talk about working through this book. 7 days from now, next Wednesday, October 18th at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time, if I can get out my mouth. We're going to have a live listening of the Complete Bring Your Worth collection, the entire audiobook of this joint. Entire audiobook of this joint. Some bonus stuff on the audiobook, but it's really meant for audiobook form. The books themselves, though, we're going to have a live listening party. And I'll be giving some background as far as the books. The first book came out in 2016, so you can imagine a lot's happened. Some of the history behind it, a little bit of the story behind how the books happened. And of course, the lines will be open if you had any questions or comments about any of the books in the series or all the books that are in the collection. Much love to y'all. This is a fun show. And Elkie 57 and the rest of y'all, good luck on figuring out how social media plays a part in your life. It's important. If we want to live a life well, we got to think about how well we're living our life. Sounds like a Hallmark card, but it is absolutely true. Until next time, actually in a few days, remember you can bring your worth. You can always build from now. Take care of yourselves.